Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today, this arrived in the mail. This is a 15mm scale rat made by Forged in Battle. The turret and hull are solid pieces of resin and they weigh approximately 1 ton. It is also entirely awesome. Let's start putting it together. One problem I had, well, the only problem really, was that the turret didn't quite sit in the hull properly. Fortunately, that is easily fixed. I filed down the part that sits in the recess. I used a large file for this because it would have taken forever using small files. Also, a mask is a good idea for this. You don't want to breathe resin dust into your lungs. And voila! It fits! It doesn't quite sit perfectly and it shifts a little bit, but that's okay. Unfortunately, I was a little bit careless. I dropped the turret and chipped the front corner. I got lucky and found some of the chips that came off and was able to glue them back on. The rest could be fixed with putty or left as battle damage. Now for the metal parts, which come in 2 bags. The main guns are nicely cast, with minimal mould lines and just a couple of bumps down the side, which are easily fixed with a file. This piece fills the centre main gun hole, and it's relatively neatly cast. It just needs a little bit of work to neaten it up. There are a few choices for anti-air turrets. You get one of these, and one of these, and a plate on which to place them. There are 3 of this kind of turret, and 2 risers for them. Also included are some doors. I didn't use any of those. There are these 4 things, which I figure are some kind of periscope. And of course there are plenty of guns. More than enough for all the turrets. You also get these crew figures. They're really nicely cast and well detailed. I'm actually considering buying more Forged in Battle infantry now instead of using Battlefront infantry. The last part are these 2 huge hatch things. I give them a quick filing and then glue them into both sides of the turret. Next I begin work on the main guns. They did need a little bit of file work to enable them to fit snugly into the turret. The barrels also needed a little bit of filing to get rid of these lumps, which I think are vents from the casting process. When I do this, I like to rotate the gun in an effort to not flatten the surface. It cleans up nicely, I think. I then add probably a little bit too much super glue to the gun, and then slot it into the opening in the turret. I jiggle it about to spread the glue, and then hold it in place as it sets. Then this part needed a little bit of cleanup, as did the anti-tank gun that it holds. Nothing a little bit of filing can't take care of though. Once I got the parts to sit nicely together, I carefully removed what little mould lines there were from the gun barrel and mantlet. Then, glue these 2 parts together, again wiggling the gun to spread the glue and hold it in place until the glue sets. This assembly is then glued into the centre opening on the turret. We could leave the turret like this and call it complete, but I wanted an AA turret on the roof of my main turret. I filed down my choice of turret so it would fit properly into the mounting plate. The mounting plate also needed a little bit of filing. I then select the appropriate AA gun barrels and clean them up with a file. Then I glue them into place, being careful to keep both barrels straight. I then glue the mounting plate part onto the top of the turret, being careful to get it as close to centre and straight as possible. The turret can then be glued on top of the turret. Yo dog, I heard you like turrets, so I put a turret on your turret so you can turret while you turret. The next thing I did was to glue the raised mountings for the AA guns onto the hull. I didn't video myself cleaning these up, but they did need quite a bit of filing. Mostly to clean out the round opening the turret sits in. I was very careful to get these parts to sit as straight as possible. Obviously, the next step is to work on the turrets for those mountings. They did need a bit of cleanup, particularly around the base where it joins the mount. I test fit the parts quite often as I went. Then I cleaned up the gun barrels, and then I glued them into place, being careful to hold the part on straight until the glue dries. These turrets are really good looking. They can then be glued into the mountings. I tried to position these so they appear to be shooting at the same thing. Of course, these could be magnetised, but I didn't really see much point in doing so for this tank. I then glued these parts into place. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they're periscopes or some kind of vision device. The final detail I added were these machine guns. There were 4 included, but I only used 2 because I could only see 2 in the picture on Forged in Battle's website. And that's it. One monster-sized tank complete. Just how big is it? Let's compare it to this Panzer 38T, and a Cromwell, and a Tiger. How about a friendly Tog 2? Yeah, this thing is huge. Look at these monstrous tracks. I'm really happy with this tank. I had been looking at Forged in Battle stuff for quite a while and just never got around to buying any. I was reminded of them by a comment somebody posted on one of my videos. I guess this tank is kind of an extreme way to dip my toe into the water, so to speak, but I have absolutely no regrets in spending the huge chunk of cash this thing cost. I'll certainly buy more models from Forged in Battle in the future. I'm considering at least one mouse, because one good rodent deserves another, or something like that. This is probably the most spectacular addition to my odd tanks collection so far. Obviously this tank isn't for everybody, and I doubt it could ever be used in any Flames of War game in any sensible manner other than as a terrain piece, though I'll still bring it along, drop it on the table, and just declare myself winner. The model was quite easy to build, though no instructions were included and I couldn't find any on Forged in Battle's website or by googling. I figured out where to put the parts by looking at pictures I found online. I guess since it was never a real vehicle, you can put all the detailing parts wherever you want really, but a little instruction sheet would have been nice. All the parts were very well cast and nicely detailed, none of the guns were bent, and there wasn't too much flashing or mould lines on any of the parts. I think this is going to look really cool once I paint it, though I don't think I'll have time to do that anytime soon. Being such an expensive model, I want to do a really good job on it, so it's going to take a long time. I will of course film the process, and you'll eventually be able to see that if you're interested. I'm not sure if there are other choices on the market for those few people looking for a 15mm scale rat, but this model is definitely a good one, and I highly recommend it. I hope this video has been interesting or helpful for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts or comments in the appropriate section below. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks for watching. Farewell.